So I'll just get started here and flick over to the first slide. So a bit of the agenda and give a structure to today's presentation. A little bit of the background and history on Safer Roads Ottawa, a little bit about road safety engineering, and I'll just give a quick warning to the group. I'm not a road safety engineer, so you'll see that I'll quickly scan over that page as fast as I can possibly do it. Our internal and community-based partnerships, as well as our campaigns that we've done in 2012, which will focus on our collaboration with CCMTA, as well as where we're going in the future. So essentially, Safer Roads Ottawa, the precursor to Safer Roads Ottawa was called the Integrated Road Safety Program, established in 2003, and essentially was based on the foundation of the 3 E's: education, engineering, and of course, enforcement. It was an original partnership, an internal partnership at the City of Ottawa between police, public health, and public works, which is fairly common in most road safety kind of collaborations. And the goal, of course, at the time was very, very focused on sheer percentages, and that was to reduce fatalities by 30% by 2010, and that was aligned with Transport Canada's vision along the same lines. Some of the successes of the IRSP project, Speeding Costs You Dearly campaign. Many people don't know, but the City of Ottawa, 90% of our land mass is actually zoned rural. So we have the largest farming economy in all of Canada, and no one would ever know this because everyone thinks we're just the center of the universe for the federal government and so on. But essentially, when the program first started, we had almost 1,000 collisions with wildlife. Now that ranges anywhere from moose and deer all the way to wild turkey, which are on the rise at the moment in Ottawa, but that's a whole other kind of side story. We also had the Selective Traffic Enforcement Program, which is essentially an initiative of our police service, and every month 2 specific traffic-related offenses are targeted: red light running, distracted driving, speeding, stop sign violations, and so on. Communicated out to residents via the press, enforced throughout that 30 or 31-day period, and then the results are then released to residents as well through the press. And then the program itself was functionally based on having 2 major awareness programs every single year: pedestrian and cycling related, speeding, and even at the time, distracted driving. Along with that also was where we tied in with engineering, and some of the most expensive interventions known are intersection modifications, so changing a built environment and making it safer for all road users. So this was one of the information slips that was created at the time. It has some updated information, but just to give you a flavor for it, so the speeding costs you dearly. So how did this integrated road safety program roll into the Safer Roads Ottawa? Well, in 2009, our transportation committee, so one of our standing committees of City Council, ordered staff to rebrand itself and refresh the entire program. A fairly large-scale internal and external stakeholder consultation took place. There was a best practice review across North America and even touching onto Europe. And the 4th E was added into the initiative, and that was for emergency services. And there was also a 40-page detailed action plan that was developed, and I shouldn't go on film and say this, but to date, I've only read it twice, and it's quite an intense document focused on so many different things that I actually got discouraged every time I picked it up and tried to get going on it. So what happened here? So the staff at the time, under the direction of City Council, pulled together all sorts of different information based on traffic collision, police enforcement, and also public health data. Along with the consultation input and the best practices, it rolled into this massive action plan. The 4 E's, again, became the education, enforcement, engineering, and emergency response. But the 5th E that we've started to include a lot more often now is empathy. And that's empathy. Whenever we start to roll out a campaign focused on different road users or improving their safety, we try to keep in mind what it's like to be that road user interacting in such a dynamic and in some cases dangerous environment. So this is Safer Roads Ottawa. So 2001 in the fall of 2011, this campaign got rolled out, or this slogan got rolled out. It's important to note that we wanted to certainly showcase how dynamic the environment is, and certainly wanted to include cycling and pedestrians in any kind of visual identity for the program. And of course, our overall goal is to go towards zero fatalities and injuries. So the vision is easy. The City of Ottawa is the safest traffic environment for all. The mission takes me 2 breaths to read, but I'll give it a go. So it's a leading community partnership committed to preventing or eliminating road deaths and serious injuries for all people in the City of Ottawa through culture change, community engagement, and the development of a safe, sustainable transportation environment. And the overall goal is to move towards zero. Zero or 1 traffic fatality or serious injury is 1 too many. So moving far away from hard and fast numbers, which seems to be the trend in many of the different jurisdictions that we've actually spoken with. So this is the engineering slide that I'll rip through quite quickly. So as part of our road safety program, there are 3 different individual programs that are run by other staff in my group. One is the pedestrian safety evaluation. The other one is cycling safety improvement program. And the last is a bit more comprehensive, and that's why I put this little bullet, but it's the safety improvement program, which looks at intersections, or sorry, not only intersections, but any stretch of roadway and how we can modify it to cut down on collisions and serious injuries. So what is Safer Roads Ottawa? I have the unique opportunity. I sit between 2 different groups. My steering committee, or my leadership group, are made up of all the chiefs, as I like to call them. The chief of fire, chief of police, chief of paramedics, the chief medical officer of health, and the head of the public works department. I then coordinate a group of their next rank down of staff from all those same departments, as well as a few others. What we've started to do, the reason there's a few of these that are bolded, are these are some of the newer partners that we've started to pull into our program in order to have the maximum kind of impact on the community. We ask a representative from the taxi union to sit with us and discuss their concerns in terms of road safety. We've asked the National Capital Commission to sit with us. OC Transpo, which is our public transportation company, as well as we've asked a National Defense Road Safety Group to be a member of it, and I'll speak to that and how that came about in a few minutes. And last but not least, on an ad hoc basis, the regional planner for the MTO will come and sit with our meetings. So when I took over the program, the foundational partners that had always, or the traditional partners that had been involved in road safety included the Ottawa Safety Council, CAA National in North and East Ontario, Young Drivers of Canada, the local chapter of MAD, so Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and certainly the Ministry of Transportation. Since then, since joining the program or leading the program, I've shifted that focus of our partnerships back over to the community and trying to engage anyone, whether they're a small group or a very large advocacy group, in our overall plan. So that includes groups such as the Enviro Center, the Enviro Center, Hand in Hand, which is a group of community residents in one particular focused area of the city. Citizens for Safe Cycling, our major advocacy group for all things cycling. Green Communities Canada, another significant group in the City of Ottawa focused on pedestrian and in some ways some cycling initiatives. And then as we roll down the list, SOAR, which is the Society of Ottawa Area Riders, our motorcycle executive, who we just launched a campaign with, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. Walk Ottawa, who are really at the moment the only pedestrian advocacy group going in the City of Ottawa. Operation Red Nose, many of you are familiar with their workings of providing a ride for not only you, but also your vehicle to get you home safely. And Right Bike, which is a social enterprise focused on providing gainful employment for people with mental health illnesses. So the action plan focused on 5 key specific areas: distracted driving, vulnerable road users, aggressive driving, age-specific issues, and then response to emergencies. The ones highlighted in red are the ones that we tackled in 2012 or had some form of campaign focused on in 2012. That was distracted driving, and I'll get to that one in a couple of minutes. Cycling as well. I'll show you an activity that we did with that. And another one of our focus areas was children, and that was very much focused on car seats and the proper implementation or installation of car seats. So what did we do in 2012? So I started in the program of March of 2012, And from then until the end of December, we kind of ran through all of these different initiatives of one kind, and I certainly won't run through them all, but I'll focus on some of the ones that have been very, very important. Certainly the local launch of the Leave the Phone Alone campaign. I actually have a few slides dedicated to that in a couple of minutes. The next one up was the presentation to the National Defense Road Safety Group, which was a wonderful experience for me to chat with such a captive audience way back in September. And what was interesting about meeting with that group is not only was I kind of highlighted for me so much of the information of our National Defense Group in terms of some of the largest fleet, I believe, in all of the country, and the role that their collision investigators play, but I wasn't aware that their collision investigators are also responsible for road safety initiatives on all the Canadian Forces bases across Canada. So in discussing with them, we found that we had a lot of similarities on what we're trying to accomplish. And looking at a small geographical area, what are we trying to do, and how are we both trying to engage, in some cases, some of the similar partners. The spin-off from that meeting and some subsequent discussions is that we now have, in terms of our police, are now reaching out to not only other police forces, specifically like the Ontario Provincial Police, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, from our colleagues from across the river in the city of Gatineau, but they also reach out to the military police as well. And the military police attend our monthly collision meetings, and where we discuss all the different strategies coming up. And there's been, I would say, a tenfold increase in the amount of synergies between all of the different law enforcement agencies in the national capital area, which is quite a coup. I always throw in a military term every now and then, but it's quite a coup for us. The other large-scale, kind of initiative was the A1 car seat campaign, and that was focused on, that's Ottawa Public Health's contribution to the overall road safety campaign. And essentially that's a very, very simple 3-step checklist for parents to know of how to properly buckle their children into their car seats. And as we know, the most recent surveys that we have is upwards of 85%, thank you, upwards of 85% of all car seats are not installed properly when we've done our local initiatives. So public health has taken it upon themselves and put a whole bunch of resources into raising awareness for parents on how to do this very, very simple 3-step checklist. The next one is the Danielle Nasu Memorial Ride. And the reason why I like to focus on that one, water near electricity, I should be careful, is essentially there was a young cyclist in the City of Ottawa who within, I think it was just over a year and a half ago now, was actually tragically killed through an incident of dooring, which is where a motor vehicle opens its door. She swerved to hit the door and was hit by oncoming traffic. She was quite, how would you say, she was a sensational leader in her community. She was just above the age of 30, but the community impact was phenomenal in a sense of her life, and her tragic loss of life touched so many people that a memorial ride started soon after. Along with CAA, we launched, I was going to say keep an eye out for motorcycles. We launched Watch Out for Bikes, which was an initiative all focused on dooring, and we gave out stickers, transparent stickers that could be put on your side view mirrors, which would prompt motorists and their passengers to watch for bikes before they opened their door. And so the family was entirely touched the fact that the City of Ottawa put this together along with one of our significant partners, and we soft launched it on October 11th, which was the 1-year anniversary of her tragic collision. We had 1,200 of the stickers printed for the event as a soft launch. They all disappeared, which caused mass panic in my group because we had none left. We did a second run of them. We printed another 2,000. They disappeared within a week as well. So there was a tremendous appetite for this kind of messaging. The next one is the Drop It and Drive presentations, and I'll speak to that, and I'll show you a video in a couple of minutes, which will focus a bit more on that and give you a visual of what we've been able to do there. We've also certainly focused our attention and trying to support the local chapter of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. And one of the things that we've noticed is many of these service organizations or organizations who have come together in the interest of societal issues involving road safety are, in some cases, not able to always communicate their needs effectively. So they're not always involved in social media as prominently as they could be. So what we've done is we've started to liaise with our public health and our police services groups who have profound social media programs. And in fact, Ottawa Public Health has the largest health Twitter account in all of the country, just under 10,000 followers. We actually lend our public health staff out to go and train our community-based organizations on how to do social media. So I set up those meetings. The agencies themselves get trained, and they actually start to become advocates for themselves, which ultimately benefits the overall road safety initiatives that we're trying to accomplish as a municipality. So it's another way of using dollars responsibly and building the capacity of some of our community-based partners. The Bike Light event was one of our biggest successes from a media perspective. In working with the community, we invested approximately $1,500, and by